I think Miss Charlene got her red buttons on. If you don't, go ahead and turn them on, I guess.
Okay, my red button is on.
All right, it is 7:15. We'll call this meeting to order. Has everybody taken a chance to look over our DDA minutes from our last meeting? If so, do I have a motion?
I looked at them online. I couldn't get a print of them, but I agreed with them.
All right. We got a motion from Bill.
I'll
Do we have a
second it.
A second from Carl. All in favor? All right. Down to the financial report. Mr. Carl?
Yeah, we've had just a couple of things happen over the past month in the account. We had paid the Carol Tomorrow for the hotel motel study, $2,500, and made a payment on the roof of $48,754.53. So we've got $54,399 in the account right now. That's the only activity in the DDA account. It's just the big withdrawal for the roof payment, the first payment.
This will go back into the account then when we get the loan from the city or the...
Yeah, when we get the loan from the city, it'll cover that, but we're trying to hold off on taking that loan
Yeah.
as long as we can, yeah.
When is the final payment due, Carl? Do you know?
On the roof, I don't know. Do you know
Do
that?
you know that?
No, we have a closeout meeting on Wednesday where the manufacturer and the consultant and the contractor will be on site. Basically, the manufacturer come make sure the roof was installed right to certify the warranty, and then we'll talk about when it's going to be complete. There's some stuff that I wasn't quite happy with the roof that they need to go back and fix, and so we'll talk about that on the
That
27th.
2x4 is not holding the roof up, is it?
Yeah. that being one of the issues that I have, but there's some issues around the edge that they need to fix, and I've made Chipboard aware of that, and so we'll hash that out Wednesday when they get here. So.
Yeah, I've noticed it didn't look quite finished around the edge.
So that's all we got on financial report, Carl?
That's it for the DDA, yes, sir.
Okay, number 4, downtown development. Anything?
I don't really even know what that agenda item is.
I guess it could fall under down to number 5, old business.
Yeah. Just to update on the Welcome Center, as I said, we are in the process of finishing up the roof, so hopefully Wednesday we'll get some resolution to some of the issues. It's not anything major, but just some things that we'd like to see cleaned up and look a little better. So once we get that done, we'll determine when we're actually going to be final with the roof. We did have last week the inmate crew spent 3 days in there, demoed all the stuff on the inside. Looks a lot different with all that stuff in there. Pretty big area. We're going to try to do as much as the work in-house because obviously that saves us a ton of money doing it that way. So we talked with Public Works, and probably between now and the middle of October, they're going to go in and replace all the sewer and water lines running from the street to the building. We just wanted to do that because I'm sure all the pipes are original, so they're knocking on 100 years old. And it didn't make any sense to put out a new parking lot if you have to dig it back up, a couple years from now to replace something. So they're going to do that and redo all of that stuff for us, probably just at cost. They might have to call in a plumber for some of the stuff, but I think pretty much Public Works Department can handle most of that stuff. So that'll save us a ton of money as opposed to having a contractor come in and do that stuff. And then once we get that done, then we'll start looking at, my thought process is to just get 3 bids for each of the things that we need done. So in other words, we'd get 3 from HVAC, and then the DDA can look and see which bids they want to pick out of those 3. I think it just is cheaper that way than hiring a general contractor and then having them do the whole project. So the stuff that Public Works and the inmate crews can't do, then we would get 3 bids for each of those things. So whatever 3 reputable HVAC, we would get a separate bid from all 3 of them. If there's any electrical work, 3 contract bids from 3 electricians. So that way we can bring those back and then award bids. And because none of them are going to be $100,000 or more, we don't have to do a bid packet and put it all out in bid. So that's my recommendation for doing the stuff that we do need to hire somebody to do.
Along those lines, Chris, do you propose to put a separate box in for the individual bays where the pop-up businesses are going to be?
Yeah, so what our thought is, and we talked with Public Works about this, they're going to put in another water meter and water line for that end bay, because that end bay is going to be separate. Anything that is in the other part, their rent would also include their utilities. On the end, they'll be responsible for their own utilities and their own sewer and their own water on that end.
Okay, are you planning on putting in a heat pump system in there or a heat pump window unit?
Heat pump window unit? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, they actually make window units that function as a heat pump, both heat and cool. And they are much more inexpensive than a HVA system, like most of us think about. And the bay itself is how big? Maybe 20 by 25? 20 by 30 maybe?
Yeah, probably 20 by 30, somewhere around there.
So it's 600 square feet. That is not a very big area for a full-fledged HVAC system to go in there with an outside compressor and an inside furnace and everything like this. So I am assuming, although we haven't discussed this, that the other bays will be running off of one HVA system, which also includes a visitor center. So
Right.
this one's going to be a set-aside, standalone unit out there.
Right.
Well, I think it would be worth our time to look into the possibility of such a unit to go in that one small bay.
And we could definitely have some dialogues and have them provide recommendations on, if they don't, I don't know that it's necessary to put in a whole system, in that end either. So, we can look at what are some of the cost-saving options they have for us.
Okay, along the same lines, I've only seen a rendering of the outside. I have not seen any specifications at all for the outside. But do you envision those doors being raised doors or fixed to make it look like the old doors?
The thought process was to have the doors with a retail. They'd look basically just like garage doors now, but they'd have a retail door, so you could go in just like without having to let it up. There are some that are functional that you can still raise the door, but also let it down and have the retail door. So we are with the same process with the HVAC. We'd have a window and door company come in. We'd give them the specs. We're now working, now that we've gotten a demo, Mike Rickman that did the first designs, he's come back because there were some walls that he had proposed taking out that we can't take out because they're load-bearing walls, so we had to redo some of the floor plan. So he and I spent about an hour down there Friday, so he's redoing all of that so we know where the new walls will be. We also know the utilities and things like that he will put on that. So that is when we'll give that new plan to whomever comes in, whether it be HVAC, whether it be plumbing, whether it be doors and windows, so then they can have that dimensions and everything to make their bids on. But our thought process is to have the doors functional both from a garage door standpoint and a retail door standpoint.
I don't know if that's functional or not, Christopher, because efficient-wise, those garage doors are not going to be efficient, both heating or cooling.
Well, they have some new stuff that, because a lot of people are doing that nowadays, those redoing the garage doors. Matter of fact, I was in Philadelphia and was eating dinner at a restaurant that was like that, where they had the doors that when the weather was nice, they would open them up, and if the weather didn't permit, they'd close them. So it's a pretty commonplace thing now, especially since a lot of these buildings can't be used for auto service in downtown. So there's really a big push to keep the aesthetics of it, but make it more functional for HVAC, cooling, heating, weatherizing.
How do they keep the flies out when the door's open?
Yeah. How do they keep the flies out? They don't.
That's one of my points.
Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of, when you open the door, you're kind of in the element. So I think you kind of accept that as part of the process.
Will the county health department accept that?
Well, I'm not suggesting that they do that at the restaurant part. I'm saying in the part where there's might be meeting rooms that might have an event that would warrant it to be open. But the point is to keep it as functional as possible. So, for example, if we're going to do the food truck thing there, it would be cool to open the doors and have tables in the bays where people can go to the food truck, buy the food, and then come inside and eat. So, I mean, it just depends on what the function is, but you don't want to take that functionality away when, you can have an opportunity to do some other things.
It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds.
It will, definitely. It will.
I have some real concerns about having the garage doors on there because of the functionality as far as restaurant suitability or food serving suitability. Not so much restaurant, but food serving, whether it is a bakery in there or whatever's in there. And then will the health department actually allow something like that to go on?
Well, there are restaurants that have the bays with those doors that they have open. So, I mean, there's
Question
places.
still is, how do they keep the flies out of it?
I mean,
Do they have
no, the restaurants I've been
somebody running around with a swatter or something?
The restaurants, I mean, well, it's no different than eating out on a deck. If you go to a restaurant if you go to Uncorked or
Right.
Lost Cowboys and eat on the deck.
But you're eating out, they're not in the
Right.
kitchen.
Well, neither one of these, nothing there is going to have a kitchen anyway. So there's not going to be a restaurant because there's not any space. Now, there might be something that they prepare food off site and bring, which would be the case for one of the tenants that we're looking at. They would have a separate location where they would actually make the
Yeah.
products and then they would bring them over. Very similar to what a Krispy Kreme or Donuts does when they deliver to these gas stations, stuff like that. So, there won't be any food prep per se going on there. So I don't know. I mean, that would totally be up to the restaurant. We're not obviously saying that they have to have their spot, but that part's going to be segregated off from the rest of the building anyway. So that would totally be up to them whether or not they're going to have it open or not. I mean, they don't have to have them open.
Right.
So,
Well, I look forward to seeing a garage door that is heat transfer efficient. Because I just can't quite imagine anything that grazes up and down on a roller being anywhere near airtight. But if you say it can be, we'll see, won't we?
we will see what they provide for us.
Okay. All right.
Anything else on Welcome Center?
That's all I got for that.
All right, B, invoice roof, Chip
Yes.
Ward.
So Chip Ward has two contracts with us. The first one was the design of the roof for the bidding and the bid packet. The second part is actually the management of the bid process and then the management of the installation of the roof. And so this was the second contract that we voted on, which gets billed by visits and hours and all of that. And these are two invoices related to that second contract.
So we need a motion for these two.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion for the combined total of $2,000 to, Chris Ward, is it? AP
Yeah,
Ward,
Chip Ward, AP Ward Consulting.
$2,000 for two?
two invoices totaling 2,000. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one is 772 and one is
76.
1227.
So move.
Got a motion for Bill. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, moving down.
You'll have to get these to Tracy to
Do what?
pay them.
Yeah, she
They're from the
she
DDA
asked me
account.
today, would one check be okay, and she said, yeah. Chris said, yeah, one check for the
That's going
two
to the same
invoices would
place.
be
Yep.
fine.
Okay.
Supposed to be dropping us another check for legal fees, which is very little. I think it was $70 or $75, but she's gonna drop them in the mail tomorrow after we approve this.
Good. We'll need to get another one for another drawdown for the roof. I'll send her that paperwork tomorrow morning.
Okay, got a bill for that then? Okay, yeah. All right, moving on to number 6, new business.
I don't have anything.
Any public comment? Sharon, you got anything? All right, items for future agenda. Executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Got a motion to adjourn at 7:31. All right, that meeting is, all in favor? All right, then we'll move on to our next meeting, the CBB meeting. We'll call this ordered at 7:31. Has everybody taken a minute to look over our minutes from our August 28th meeting? If so, do I have a motion to approve?
Is that clock right?
No, it's an
Okay.
hour off.
Clock's an hour off.
I thought, man,
6:31.
I have lost an hour today somewhere.
6:31, Tracy.
I move to approve the minutes from last month.
All right, got a motion from Carl. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Bill. All in favor? Is that a yes, Kimberly? Let's see, let me write something.
And so for the financial report, which is next, I just handed, did you give one to Bill? Okay.
Yeah, I got one.
This is the same statement I provide you every month, just showing everything that's happened in the Convention and Visitors Bureau account since it started in August of last year. The only thing different on this one is some bills that were paid for something that I had printed out. I don't see it in front of me right now. Some advertising and promotion stuff. And apparently I printed it out and didn't bring it with me. But that's the only thing that's different, are some expenses for some advertising and promotion items. There was the thing that we talked about we voted for it last month, the Georgia Visitors Travelers Guide of some sort, $2,600. That's in there. And then there's some cups and little screen wipes and lapel pins and
Swag stuff.
swag stuff that we had ordered to give out to people. So that's the only addition to this. There's no extra income in this one because the city made out the check to the wrong people last month, so we're having them redo it.
Which they gave that check to us Friday. So.
Okay, so I have it, just hasn't been put in here yet. But that's it.
All right, move on down to number 4, tourism. Old business,
Nothing this month.
new business, I guess we're gonna put that on the other, one, but it's the same thing. Tom turned in his letter of resignation from the board one day last week, so he got a lot of
March?
traveling. Yeah, he got a lot of traveling on mine, so everybody think of a good board member to replace Tom, because we're one member short. Okay, move on down to number 7, public input.
My goodness. No.
Item for future agenda, executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn? It is 6:34.
Yes.
Got a motion from Bill. Have a second? Second from Kimberly. All in favor? All right. Short and sweet.